Hey there, my friend. Hope you're doing well. I was actually just meditating. I wanted to tell you a little bit about an interesting experience that I think is useful to pretty much everybody that I just had. So I was sitting here, I'm on a balcony, and right over that way there's a truck that's unloading. There's a van that's unloading and throwing a bunch of wood in a dumpster. And as I sat here, I was really starting to feel good. I was really starting to feel connected, and then these intermittent noises of crunch, 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 crash, 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 crunch, 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 crash, crash, crash started coming my way. And I was like, my first reaction is like, damn it, I wish you would find a better time. I'm trying to meditate here. Or maybe I wish I found a better time so that I could really connect and I could really meditate and all that. And I was like, you know what, let me just sit with this. Like, if the universe is all perfect, then this is happening for a reason. So I sat with it a little bit more, and I thought, like, if I'm one with everything, and if everything is me, then the atoms that are delivering this sound is also me. And why is it that I have an aversion to me experiencing me? And now I'm like, why is that? And then I guess it pointed to, like, as the sound waves come in, there's like compressed air that hits your eardrums, and the old version of what I used to think would be that, like, it startles you because you're used to your internal state, and then some external state happens. But maybe, here's a fun thought, maybe those sound waves coming at you are just too much of you coming at you, and they threaten your level of ego. They threaten your level of identity, because all of us are clinging to form, clinging to identity, clinging to names, clinging to what we're told to be and who we're told that we are. But what if loud noises are just too much truth coming our way? Just like too much of anything, that kind of gets distracting and kind of throws us off. That was, whether that's resourceful to anybody or not, isn't why I started this video. That was just kind of what got me to the next place, and I was like, as I was trying to figure it out, I was sitting and watching my thoughts. And I started to wonder, like, what are thoughts? What in the world are these things that run a lot of us, that rule a lot of our lives? What are they in general? Like, they're dimensionless, they're formless, they're senseless, tasteless, they're nothing, but at the same time they're everything. Because these thoughts, they're the intelligence that arranges all of the matter inside of us and then outside of us. Right? What goes on in your brain, that, like, the intelligence of it, it's like the pattern of energy that is the intelligence that forms everything in you and then is able to replicate form on the outside. Thought runs everything, but we don't even know what it is. You can't taste it, you can't touch it, you can't sense it, you can't measure it, you can't really. It's kind of electrical patterns, but it's also kind of not. And it doesn't exist in any dimension, like in length, width, and height. Where's thought? It's not there. Length, width, height, time. Where's thought? It's not there. Length, width, height, time, soul. Where is it? It's not there in the fifth dimension. Length, width, height, time, soul, spirit, or length, width, height, time, soul, spirit, universe. Like, all of the different components of all the dimensions. Like, thought is still something that's this ethereal, loose thing that somehow exists through all of it. And I think in the spiritual community and in the understanding yourself kind of world, there's a tendency to think that thought is bad. Thought's not bad. It's the addiction to thought that's what's causing suffering. It's the compulsion to do and think because of fear of who you are outside of thought that creates all of the unnecessary pain and suffering and reason to even want to begin a spiritual path in the first place, to find freedom from all those things. It blew my mind, and then so I started to, an image came into my mind of what thought is and what it's like. So in the very beginning of everybody's meditative or spiritual journey, everybody's taught to watch your thoughts, right? When you're sitting there meditating, don't judge your thoughts, don't stop your thoughts, just observe them. It's a common word. 10% Happier is a company that teaches folks to do this. Headspace is another one. You sit and you just observe your thoughts. And that's resourceful, but it's almost like, when you observe your thoughts, it's almost like a zombie apocalypse. This is the metaphor that came to my mind, where you're running away from zombies, right? And as long as you're in front of the zombies, like, you're safe. So you keep running, you keep running, you keep running, and that's almost like when you observe your thoughts, because you're you're like still trying to get out of them. You're still trying to find a place that's separate from them. You're still trying to find peace outside of the insanity of the thinking part. But then in that same zombie apocalypse, if you find like a ledge where the zombies can't climb up to, then you climb up onto that ledge and you're standing there, and then you have all the time in the world to sit down and look at these thought monsters that were chasing you. And from that place, you can really look at them, like really, really look at them, and you realize that they're just like dead matter playing a game, and you're not really sure what they are. But they don't have power over you anymore when you really look at them and see, like, why was I ever scared of you in the first place? It's almost like they transform into kittens or something. And I think this is it's a turning point that happens in people's journey where you no longer run from your thought because you're scared of it. It's because it's like you're a master of your own thinking mind. You know when you can use it and don't need to use it. You're not addicted to thinking. You're not, compulsive with thought. And so from atop the ledge, or from underneath, I always envision being underneath my thoughts, looking up at them. You really take a good look at them and realize that they're not good or bad. They don't have any power to run your life. They only do when you identify too much with them. They have the ability to run your life. That was big for me, because then as I started to really look at my thoughts, I realized how much power they have as a tool. Right? And they're a tool in either direction. If you identify with them, if you think they're you, they'll run your life. And you'll be addicted to this roller coaster of up and down, up and down. You'll be clinging to positivity because you're scared of the negative. But if you know you're not your thoughts, and if you step outside of them and practice meditating, give yourself space to explore who you really are underneath, beyond, and above thought, then you see that thoughts are this dimensionless, magical miracle force that you can use to transform your life and transform the lives of everybody around you. And you can decide what to think. And a dear friend of mine taught me to check in with myself, like a year or more ago. Taught me to check in with myself. And anytime I experience a negative thought, like use that, like the mental muscle of noticing that it was a negative thought, and be like, check, or cancel. I'm not poor or tired or sick or whatever the bad word was that I said accidentally to myself. Check, I'm effortless. I am limitless. I am infinite. And saying these new things to myself, because it's actually part of reprogramming your mind. And ultimately, your mind is like a dog that you could train. The thinking part. And so it's not useful to be in a life with no thought, but it is very useful to know who you are outside of thought, which is an experience. I can't tell you. I mean, it's a word that's sometimes called soul or the universe. It's an experience, and it's amazing, and it comes installment by installment by installment through meditation. But it's also important to know that it exists before you meditate into it. So in that way, it's very beneficial to listen. Like for me, I listen a lot to Alan Watts and Sadhguru and Wayne Dyer and lots of these folks, so that I know what further down the journey, is like. But I don't cling to it like it has to show up like that. I just have an idea of what it'll end up feeling like or something like that. And then I get there and I'm like, But if you never had a master to open the portal or clear the path for you, explain the path, then you still could get there, right? If you meditated alone in the forest forever and you never knew anything about anything except for what you feel, you could still experience more bliss. But definitely is a faster way for all of society if we all have this kind of mentorship structure bleeding through all of our civilization. I think that's kind of cool, actually. So check yourself whenever you notice that thought is running you, or that there are negative thoughts inside of your head. And don't judge them, because the goal isn't only always to be positive, right? Bad things, or what you quote bad things, are going to happen, right? Up and down happens. It's the waves, it's weather, it's mountain terrain. It's up and down is just the nature of life. The sine waves that create the energy, or sine waves that are part of the energy that is everything around us. So the vibration and the oscillation is always going to happen. But it's in the judging and the preferring of the top of the wave over the lower of the wave that is always going to cause you pain and suffering. In fact, I was just talking to a good buddy of mine about how anxiety was really like invented by the idea that now isn't good enough and tomorrow hopefully will be better. And it probably started back in the agricultural revolution, when people had to plan for tomorrow and work hard for tomorrow. But now, if you think about it, in America, United States of America, we're kind of screwed because everybody who came here for a better life. So the genetics of everybody who ended up in America is automatically like taught through the family, and the genetics of the people that wanted to come in here in the first place. It's automatically a little bit more anxious because we're all working for tomorrow and not present in now, because we were told that this is the place where dreams come true. This is a place where you can make your future happen, and this is gold-plated roads and all that silly stuff. Which is also why a lot of the rest of the world just looks at us and just like, what are you guys doing? Although little by little we're converting them and giving them our capitalistic system. But anyways, I think it's really interesting to step all the way back and notice that, man, when you slow down, life means a lot more. And when you feel, you realize that you are a lot more, which is a miracle. It's a complete miracle. But you'll never be able to do your way into finding that, because it is the truth that happens outside of doing, because doing and compulsive doing is just the external representation of compulsive internal thought. And that comes from an identity with your thoughts, because you don't experience the place outside of thought enough. Your soul, your spirit, which is who you really are, right? Because all your thoughts come and go and they change over time, and they're given to you and you've learned them in books and stuff. So check yourself whenever you notice negative thoughts coming your way. Know in your heart of hearts that it's not actually negative, but it's also not resourceful to be beating yourself up all the time. It's more about empowering who you really are than it is running for the positive. Because that's, if it's still rooted in fear of the negative, then it's not empowering you, it's not resourceful, it's not going to help anybody find the end of their suffering. So give that a shot today, my friend, and reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm interested to watch this video myself, because I'm not really sure what I just got done saying. Take care.